Today, we are discussing the contemporary management of well-appearing febrile infants. This lecture will provide healthcare practitioners with an evidence-based framework for clinical decision-making. The management of well-appearing febrile infants in the 8 to 21-day age range represents a clinical scenario where aggressive evaluation and empirical treatment remain the standard of care. The American Academy of Pediatrics currently recommends routine cerebrospinal fluid testing, empirical antibiotics, and hospital admission for all infants in this age category to rule out invasive bacterial infection. First, the risk of bacteremia and bacterial meningitis is substantially elevated in neonates and young infants during the first 3 weeks of life. The immature immune system of these patients, characterized by diminished neutrophil function, reduced complement activity, and limited antibody repertoire, creates a vulnerability to rapidly progressive bacterial infections. Second, the clinical presentation of serious bacterial infections in this age group is notoriously unreliable. Even experienced clinicians cannot consistently identify invasive bacterial infections based on history and physical examination alone, as these young infants may appear deceptively well despite harboring life-threatening infections such as bacterial meningitis or bacteremia. The guideline specifies that all infants aged 8 to 21 days should undergo a complete sepsis workup, which includes lumbar puncture for cerebrospinal fluid analysis and culture, blood culture, and urine culture. Parenteral antimicrobial therapy should be initiated empirically, and the infant should be admitted to the hospital for continuous monitoring. This comprehensive approach ensures that no serious bacterial infection is missed during the critical window when clinical deterioration can occur rapidly and unpredictably. The rationale for universal lumbar puncture in this age group is particularly important, as bacterial meningitis can present without overt meningeal signs in young infants, and delayed diagnosis carries devastating consequences, including neurological sequelae and mortality. For infants aged 22 to 60 days, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that within this older infant population, clinical prediction rules can effectively stratify risk and identify a subset of patients at sufficiently low risk for serious bacterial infection that invasive procedures and hospital admission may be safely deferred. Decisions regarding cerebrospinal fluid testing, antibiotic administration, and hospital admission in this age group can be guided by validated clinical prediction rules. Most notably, the Pediatric Emergency Care Applied Research Network Rule, commonly referred to as the PECARN rule. This evidence-based tool incorporates multiple clinical and laboratory parameters to generate a risk assessment that informs clinical decision-making. The variables integrated into the PECARN rule include inflammatory markers such as procalcitonin and C-reactive protein, hematologic parameters including absolute neutrophil count, urinalysis findings, and the overall clinical appearance of the infant. When laboratory markers and urinalysis results are reassuring and the infant appears well, clinicians may appropriately consider deferring lumbar puncture and hospital admission. In selected low-risk cases, outpatient management with close follow-up may be a reasonable alternative to hospitalization, provided that shared decision-making with families has occurred and appropriate safety nets are in place. This approach requires clear communication with caregivers regarding warning signs that should prompt immediate return to medical care, reliable access to follow-up evaluation within 24 hours, and confidence in the family's ability to monitor the infant and seek care if clinical status changes. However, clinicians must exercise sound clinical judgment and recognize that prediction rules are decision support tools, not absolute mandates. Any concerning features on history, physical examination, or initial laboratory testing should lower the threshold for comprehensive evaluation, regardless of calculated risk scores. Understanding the microbial epidemiology of invasive bacterial infections in febrile infants is essential for appropriate empirical antibiotic selection and for interpreting culture results. In well-appearing febrile infants aged 22 to 60 days, Escherichia coli and Group B Streptococcus represent the most frequent causes of invasive bacterial infections, including both bacteremia and bacterial meningitis. Notably, recent epidemiological data demonstrate that Escherichia coli has now surpassed Group B Streptococcus as the leading pathogen in this age group, a shift that has important implications for empirical antimicrobial therapy. Escherichia coli, a gram-negative enteric bacterium, is particularly concerning due to its propensity to cause both urinary tract infections and invasive disease, including meningitis. The organism's ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and cause central nervous system infection makes it a particularly dangerous pathogen in young infants. The increasing prevalence of Escherichia coli infections may reflect multiple factors, including the success of intrapartum antibiotic prophylaxis in reducing Group B Streptococcus disease, changes in maternal colonization patterns, and potentially evolving virulence characteristics of circulating Escherichia coli strains. Group B Streptococcus, also known as Streptococcus agalactiae, remains a critical pathogen despite the widespread implementation of maternal screening and intrapartum antibiotic prophylaxis. While these prevention strategies have dramatically reduced early onset Group B Streptococcus disease occurring in the first week of life, late onset disease presenting in infants beyond the first week continues to occur. Group B Streptococcus can cause bacteremia, meningitis, and focal infections, and remains an important consideration in the empirical coverage of febrile young infants. Staphylococcus aureus, including methicillin-resistant strains, accounts for a minority of invasive bacterial infections in well-appearing febrile infants aged 22 to 60 days. Staphylococcus aureus can cause bacteremia, osteomyelitis, septic arthritis, and soft tissue infections, and its presence should prompt careful evaluation for focal sites of infection. The possibility of methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus is particularly important in communities with high prevalence of community-associated strains and in infants with healthcare exposures or indwelling devices. Enterococcus species, while less common than Escherichia coli or Group B Streptococcus, should be considered in the differential diagnosis, particularly in infants with underlying risk factors such as prematurity, previous hospitalization, or anatomic abnormalities of the genitourinary tract. Enterococcal infections may be more challenging to treat due to intrinsic resistance patterns, and their identification has implications for antibiotic selection and duration of therapy. The epidemiology of invasive bacterial infections in young infants has evolved significantly over recent decades, with some previously important pathogens now representing rare causes of disease. Listeria monocytogenes, historically a significant concern in neonatal sepsis and meningitis, has declined substantially in prevalence and is now exceedingly rare in the population of well-appearing febrile infants aged 22 to 60 days. This decline has been confirmed by multiple large-scale studies and recent systematic reviews. The reduction in Listeria infections likely reflects improved food safety practices, better maternal nutrition counseling regarding avoidance of high-risk foods during pregnancy, and possibly changes in maternal colonization rates. The rarity of Listeria monocytogenes in contemporary practice has prompted some experts to question whether empirical ampicillin coverage, traditionally included for Listeria, remains necessary for all febrile infants. However, given the severity of Listeria meningitis and the continued recommendation for ampicillin in most guidelines, many clinicians continue to include this agent in empirical regimens, particularly for the youngest infants and those undergoing lumbar puncture. Streptococcus pneumoniae, once a common cause of invasive bacterial infections in infants and young children, is now uncommon in febrile infants aged 22 to 60 days due to widespread pneumococcal conjugate vaccination. The dramatic reduction in invasive pneumococcal disease represents one of the great successes of modern vaccination programs. However, Streptococcus pneumoniae may still be encountered in older infants within the 22 to 60-day age range, particularly in those who have not yet completed their primary vaccination series or in populations with suboptimal vaccination coverage. Additionally, non-vaccine serotypes continue to circulate and may cause disease, though at substantially reduced rates compared to the pre-vaccine era. Understanding the microbial epidemiology of invasive bacterial infections informs empirical antibiotic selection. Given the predominance of Escherichia coli and Group B Streptococcus, empirical regimens should provide robust coverage for these organisms. Typical regimens include ampicillin combined with either gentamicin or cefotaxime, providing coverage for gram-positive and gram-negative pathogens, including the possibility of Listeria, despite its rarity. Local antibiotic resistance patterns should inform specific drug choices, and clinicians should be aware of emerging resistance trends that may necessitate regimen modifications. In conclusion, the management of well-appearing febrile infants has evolved substantially with the development of evidence-based risk stratification tools and improved understanding of pathogen epidemiology. The age-stratified approach recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics, with universal comprehensive evaluation for infants 8 to 21 days old, and risk-stratified evaluation for infants 22 to 60 days old, represents current best practice supported by robust multi-center research. The PECARN prediction rule provides clinicians with a validated tool for identifying low-risk infants who may safely avoid invasive procedures and hospital admission while maintaining high sensitivity for serious bacterial infections including meningitis. As our understanding of febrile infant evaluation continues to evolve, clinicians must remain current with emerging evidence while maintaining the clinical judgment and individualized assessment that remains central to excellent patient care. Thank you for your attention. Please let me know if you have any questions.